Hey guys, my name is Matimio, and today I am playing some more Battlefield Bad Company 2, but I wanted to talk more about Battlefield 3 because more information has been released since Gamescom has been going on. There's been also a lot of Twitter action and just some really cool stuff happening. So I wanted to make this video to kind of inform you on the stuff that I thought was relevant and that you might be interested in. So let's get started. So there was a lot of controversy over 3D spotting in Battlefield 3. A lot of people didn't want to see it at all, and EA and DICE came with a solution that I think a lot of people will be happy with, and that is, and if you're unaware of what 3D spotting is whenever you click your spot button, there's a 3D, or not a 3D, there is a red triangle that goes over your enemy soldier's head, kind of, and you can pretty much see them from a mile away. And a lot of people complained that this really detracts from the game because people will just shoot at the triangle, and even if that person is behind a bush or behind a wall and you can't actually see them, they'll still shoot at them in hopes that they'll get the kill. So what they're doing here instead is that there's still going to be 3D spotting and also 2D spotting, so you're going to see them on your mini-map. But if that person goes behind cover and you no longer have line of sight on them, they are no longer going to actually have that red triangle over their head. They'll still be on your mini-map, so you'll still have a general idea of where they're at, but they will not have the 3D spotting. So that was their solution. I think it's a good one, and I'm kind of interested to see how it's actually going to work with line of sight. But I think it's going to be good. So up next, a lot of people really wanted to have 6-man squads, and DICE is sticking with only 4-man squads for Battlefield 3. There were 6 in Battlefield 2, so that's why a lot of people were wanting to have that implemented. And they also wanted the commo rows, or the command rows, I think that's what it's called, in Battlefield 3 for PC, and they actually did get that request. So there is going to be the commander rows in Battlefield 3, but they are not going to actually have the 6-man squad. So it's only going to be 4-man squads, but they have made a change where I believe you could only actually spawn on your squad leader, and they've reverted it back to actually Battlefield Bad Company 2, where you can actually spawn on anyone on your team. So if your squad leader is dead, you're still going to have that option to actually be up in the front lines again and not have to be run all the way back from your spawn point. So I think this is a good change. I would imagine that it would get really frustrating if you had a squad leader that just had no idea what he was doing, and he would just die constantly, and he wouldn't actually play that kind of mobile spawn, sit back a little bit, and be a more passive player. I feel like that would get a little frustrating, so I'm glad to see that they are just reverting back to that, being able to spawn on anyone. I think that's a good change, and I think most people are going to appreciate it when the game is actually released. Another thing is that, I've mentioned this before, but the EOD bot, they haven't mentioned much, but they have confirmed that you're going to be able to arm MCOM stations, and you're also going to be able to repair vehicles with the EOD bot. And the EOD bot is that little machine that ran into the barricade in the Caspian border trailer, and it just kind of looks like a little robot RC car. They haven't really said much more about that, but they have said that you're able to arm and also repair vehicles with it, so I think that's cool. There has also been some news about air vehicles, and DICE has reassured players that newer players to the series are going to be able to jump into a helicopter or a jet and feel somewhat comfortable flying it around, but if you really want to master it, there is going to be that skill level and that skill cap where it's really going to reward players who really invest in trying to master the air vehicles. So a newer player is going to be able to fly around in a jet. They may not do very well, and there's really going to be a difference between a new player playing on a jet and one of those players that's played a ridiculous amount of hours trying to master it. So I think that's good. They've also mentioned that they don't want the players that are, they put a lot of time into it to just be completely overpowered, so they are going to make it so that jets can't just be ridiculous, but they're also going to be able and allowed to actually use the physics of the engine to pull off some pretty crazy stunts and do a lot of crazy stuff with it. So I think that's really cool. I'm glad to see that they're really rewarding players for skill, and I'm just interested to see how and what people are going to do with the air vehicles. So speaking of air vehicles, there has been a lot of worry that they are going to be too powerful. Jets are going to fly around and just destroy people on the ground. And it looks like from all the information that has been released that DICE is really taking a lot of countermeasures to make sure that people don't feel useless when a helicopter or a jet is overhead, and that they really have a lot of tools at their disposal to actually take them out. So there are anti-air vehicles. There is also the support class that has anti-air missiles, it looks like, and it looks also, in my opinion, I thought that the engineer was going to be the anti-everything vehicle, but it looks like the support class is going to have that option, and it looks like the engineer is going to be more ground-based. And less, and well, they can also repair vehicles in air vehicles and stuff like that, but it looks like they're going to be the anti-ground, and it looks like support is going to be anti-air. So that was kind of an interesting twist that I like to see. So some final stuff, they have mentioned that there is going to be all game modes on every single map, which in my opinion is really good to see, because I remember in Bad Company 2, it was a little annoying to play on a map and knowing that you could only play that one game mode on that one particular map. And some maps I really enjoyed playing on, and it was really disappointing to only be able to play that one game mode, but they're making sure that that is not the case in Battlefield 3, and so every single game mode is going to be you're going to be able to play on every single map. So I think that's very cool. As for snipers, I know a lot of people like the idea of the glint on the scope to make sure that snipers can't just camp in a corner all day and snipe people from across the map and not be revealed. And they're taking steps, the glint is supposed to take steps to eliminate that, and the glint is just kind of a flash of light when you look in their direction so you know where they're at. But people were concerned that what if an assault player was doing that same thing with a really high-powered scope on their assault weapon. And they've also said, DICE has said that anyone with a particular scope is going to have that glint that shows off. So camping, assault players, support players, recon, anything that is camping that has a particular scope, like that really zooms in, they're going to have that glint. So really they're just trying to make sure that people are not camping, or if they are camping, they're going to be at a disadvantage when someone looks in their direction. So I think that's great news, and I'm glad to see it. But this about wraps up the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, I'd really appreciate a rating. But also, if you'd like to see more videos from me, I recommend you check out my channel and subscribe and follow me on Twitter to be notified of new videos. But until next time, everyone, have a good one and take it easy.